I formally call this meeting to order at 8:31 p.m. Secretary Messessany will perform a roll call by just looking at your Zoom names. So we're going to go ahead and move on to oath of office. We're going to go right into oath of office. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. That way, people participating, the new senators, are able to read off of my screen and make sure that they are able to say all the words. So how this is going to work for the new senators, I'm going to go ahead and read this first little paragraph, and I'll stop in between, and then you guys will repeat after. So does that sound good? All right. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I, name of office holder, and now you guys can repeat me.
I have one question. Do you want us to unmute ourselves for this?
Yeah, you guys can unmute yourselves, and it's okay if you talk all over each other. Like, it's fine.
All right. So I, Alex Kluge.
Caitlin Schaus.
I, Mac Magira.
Do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute.
Do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute
the office of name of position of Valparaiso University.
The office of Junior Senator of Valparaiso University.
And will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend.
And will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend.
The interests of the Valparaiso University Student Senate and the student body of Valparaiso University.
The interests of the Valparaiso University Student Senate and the student body of Valparaiso University.
Yay! Good job, everyone. You guys are now officially senators, and now we officially have a full Senate, which I'm so excited about. So if the new senators could just go ahead and fill out the oath of office and email it back to me and Secretary Messessany, that would be wonderful. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on to form of concerns. We'll start with the African Students Association.
Hello, everybody. So my name is Lindsay Moto. I am the African Students Association president. And here with me, I have our treasurer, Charbel.
Hi.
So we're here to request $7,680 for our Afro Week. I know that sounds like a lot of money, but we're gonna kind of break it down just to show you how we came up with that figure. So the African Students Association usually hosts Afro Week, but we were not able to host it last year due to COVID. So we wanted to do it this semester since it seems like COVID's getting somewhat better. But the events would start April 13th through April 18th. So that's Tuesday through Sunday. So the Tuesday, the 13th, we wanted to have like a So You Think You Can Dance type of challenge where we showcase different African dances and have students at Valpo come and learn these dances from different countries and enjoy some popular African snacks also from all different countries in Africa. And so we would have food for that event. So that's how we got our figure there, some money there in that aspect. And it would kind of be like a dance challenge as well. So whoever wins like the first prize would get an African print shirt, which they will get to showcase that at our African Fashion Show, which is an event that we'd have later on in that week. And then on Wednesday, we would have what's called the Taste of Africa. I think we've done this before, not last year, but the year prior, where we showcase different types of authentic African food, like from West Africa to East Africa. And so that event would have all different types of food from different countries. And I think we usually get our food we outsource it from another caterer, which is in Illinois. So it's kind of a drive, but the person that we go to has really good authentic African food. So we'd probably go out there again. And then for Thursday, we would have culture night where people at Valpo can come learn about the different cultures of all the different countries in Africa and learn about the African diaspora. And we've partnered with Visa before and have hosted Culture Night. And we usually have food at this event as well, different African food for that as well.
Okay, so Friday we're going to be having a picnic, and we're thinking about partnering up with Jubilee, which is another org on campus. The picnic is called the Black Girl Magic Picnic. So it's gonna be like a celebration of all Black women on the Valpo campus. It's of course gonna have food also, so that's where most of the money is coming from. Saturday, this is gonna be our biggest event. So it's a fashion show. So most of the money from like the requested is coming from here because we're requesting $3,500 just for like the clothes. So we're looking at different websites right now, and we're trying to buy from Black-owned businesses, especially one owned by women, and the pricing are very high. So that's where most of the money is coming from. And we're also going to have food.
Thank you. I have to cut you off just because we are reaching the time limit. If you guys just want to like wrap it up really quickly, that would be great.
Oh, well, okay. Well, Sunday we're going to have the football tournament. We're just also going to have food. And we just think this is a very important thing to have on campus because there's not a lot of African students on campus. And so, yeah, that's about it.
Thank you guys so much for voicing your forum of concerns. We will be voting on budgets later in the meeting.
Okay.
All right. Chris, do we have any forum of concerns?
Yes, there was one submitted via our Google form, and sadly, the person who submitted the form, it was a little bit too long to be read during a meeting, so it is attached in a link on the minutes. Just a brief summary is that they are speaking about the recent group that that was recognized, which was Young Americans for Freedom, and they're talking about kind of in defense of them. So.
Thank you. We will go ahead and go to Dr. Byron Martin. Is he in the meeting?
Hey, good evening, everyone. And everybody, okay, I see some waves. There we go. How's everyone doing? For those of you who do not know me, my name is Byron Martin. I'm the interim assistant provost for inclusion and retention. And before that, I was executive director for international intercultural engagement. I had the joy of having a meeting with Caitlin, the president, last week, I think it was, as she sent the Senate Resolution 002-FA20 and wanted me to come and chat a little bit about that Senate resolution and some response to that. For those that may not have that up, that was a resolution calling for the university to support our international students. And I believe the authors of that were Senators Stephanie and Sridhar, and then co-sponsored by ISIS. And so I wanted to, as a follow-up to that, I wanted to just give some context around that particular Senate resolution, and then give just some broader context to some of the things that are happening, and then open up for some questions if anybody has any questions that they want to levy towards me about that particular Senate resolution. So at this time, leading into the fall semester, one of the things that came out from the previous administration of the USA was a ICE policy that was targeted towards students, or international students who could potentially need to take all their classes online, and what could potentially come from that. So part of that policy is, we all know last fall we were sitting in COVID. In the spring, SEVIS and ICE, the policy was that students, everybody moved online. That was something that was just known. Going into the fall, the question was out there, would that policy stay intact? Or would they try to switch it? And of course, we saw that the policy came out that they tried to switch it where hybrid, which our university was planning on being a hybrid institution, would have been okay. But if our institution had made the call or the need to go fully online, it would penalize our international students and force them to have to take the remainder of their classes from home. They would have to basically go home and do the remainder of the classes on there. Part of that is couched inside current policies, where our international students, especially in the first and the last semesters, cannot take more than they have to be 2 or 3/4 enrolled. I believe the policy says exactly in in-person classes, right? So if you're taking 12 hours, 9 of those 12 have to be on campus in either a hybrid course or in a in-person course. For graduate students, 6 out of the 9 full-time would have to follow that. So it was kind of holding the universities and universities across the nation feet to the fire on that. Even in the middle of this pandemic where tons of people are having to switch. So that came out. Of course, there was tons of commotion, frustration shared by several folks in several communities around the country. And with that also came a level of confusion on if it would get stuck in the courts. So not would people take it to court. We already knew folks were taking it to court and people had already mentioned they were gearing up to do that. The question was, okay, would it get stuck in the courts? Would it get cleared up before it happened? And how was that going to happen? On campus, here's what our response was. So our DSO, which is Janice Lynn, our director of international programs, sent a message to all of our international students that are under that particular visa saying, here is the new policy that's out. We're aware of it. We're working on seeing what is going to be our response from it. At that time, we also got a letter from Visa basically saying, hey, we need some support. We need some response to these actions. And one of the requests was to sign on to what's called an amicus brief with Harvard and MIT, and I think Stanford were kind of partnering to present a brief and to push back against that and basically gear up to take the government to court on that piece. So that's kind of the background of where I believe this resolution comes from, which I think is a very important resolution. So there's a couple of pieces that I want to just kind of update on and then really kind of give some further context. One of the things that I want to push out there that makes it interesting for us. So one of the questions that I believe Kayla asked was like, okay, what was our angst about signing on to the amicus brief? Different university administrations, and I'm talking about local administrations, handle things in different ways. One of the challenges of signing on to a brief, and like I said, this is the ideology of different university administrations, which ours has shifted within the last year in some significant ways, is that there are different ways of navigating and handling those legalities and how those would show up on our campus. So to be fair, was there some concerns about potentially signing the brief? Potentially, yes. Would it have shifted what ended up happening? No. Like folks took the government to court, they threw it out. It ended up being a non-starter, not a big deal. Inside the Senate resolution, there's also a piece saying, hey, we want some more consistent and direct and supportive communication. Janice Lynn does a really good job of making sure that she's keeping our international students up to date on their policies, on federal policies, on what's going on. Since that point, we've had several conversations about saying we want the directness of making sure the policies are intact, but we also want to do and maintain a strong position of supporting our students and making sure that communication is more supportive, and not only in tone, but in giving options for things that people can do. Sometimes when these policies come out, it's a shock to the system. And so we want to make sure that we're doing our part from the Office of International Programs. From the side of the larger institution, right, like the administration, I think one of the things that we're going to be having to work to push and work is to make sure we're having supportive communication in those times as well. And I think that's something that each administration chooses to do differently. I really see and am highly encouraged by President Padilla's willingness to make sure that he's very clear in his positioning. And he's already done that in some ways this semester already. And so that's highly encouraging. And I think that'll be the way forward for us. The last thing I'll address, and then I'll open up for questions. So one of the things that it asks for is for Valparaiso University to pursue endowed scholarships and the College Scholarship Service, or CSS, in support of international students in the future. What that's talking about is how financial aid is surrounding our international students. Endowed scholarships are something I think we definitely want to pursue. There is a scholarship right now in the process of working to hit the endowment level, and that's a scholarship named after the former director of Office of International Programs, Hugh. And so it's a scholarship named after him, working to get that money up to make sure it can get endowed. For anybody that wants to know the endowment number that we're typically looking for to really make sure a scholarship's endowed is going to be about 50,000. That's what kind of gets it at that endowment level. Just to give you a hint, 50,000 might spin off in a really good year, might spin off maybe about 5,000 worth of funds that can be then doled out. So just because you have 50,000 in doesn't mean you can spend 50,000. And so one of the things that we have to continue to work on any endowed scholarship is to get that number of endowed dollars up in that arena. In terms of the College Scholarship Service, the CSS, that's a piece that's offered by the College Board. And many schools that use it, there's about, out of the 4,000 schools in our nation, there's about 400 that actually use that CSS. The interesting thing about that is that it is a way of being more exact with internal or university funded scholarships, and how those are doled out in a way that is more consistent with need. Out of the 400 on their site, I believe somewhere in the ballpark of 100 to 120 actually use the international student portion of that. And so it puts us in some really interesting waters there. But our staff, our international staff in admissions, is doing some reviews and doing some best practice to see what else is out there and to see if there are some benefits that might be had from our university, to really look into that and see what, if any, are the benefits from that. Part of that conversation is always going to be situated in affordability of our institution for our international students. As y'all know, our international students are not, in most cases, eligible for federal aid. They're eligible for university aid, but not for the federal aid or the state aid as well, which Indiana has a really strong pot of state aid. Why does that matter? So for an institution like ours, the bulk of, I don't want to say the bulk, but some of the money comes from federal aid, and then some comes from university aid that's given into this pot. So what doesn't come from university aid typically comes from loans, grants, and other things from the state that our domestic students get. Well, federal loans and grants from the state or federal grants, our international students aren't eligible for. And so that makes it a little bit more difficult in terms of affording the university. However, Valpo has historically done a really good job. A report actually just came out about our 2019, 2020 data. So year before this year, kind of looking at where we sit in terms of our funding of our international students. So the average cost of the institutions that we're comparable against is about $57,000 a year. The average financial aid award is about 20,000, 20,596 to be exact, a year for international students amongst the schools we compare ourselves against. For us, ours reported in that year is actually 24,820, and so we actually award higher than our schools that we compare ourselves against. What does that mean in a place like the Midwest? So Drake only awarded their international students the average about 18,000. DePaul is about 12,500. Marquette is at 19. Alma College is at, they're on the high end, they're at 30, and then Augustana is at 29. And so when you think about schools in the Midwest, we're just above average on schools that we compare ourselves against. And so we're being comparable in that. But one of the things that's always going to be Achilles heel, and the difference in that experience is always going to be those loans that our domestic students get and those grants from the state that our domestic students get. That's going to be a huge chunk. If we're trying to compare those two, that's going to be different. So we're constantly looking for loan options that are better, but most domestic loan options for international students, the interest rates on those are uncannily high, in the tune of 14 to 18%. And so if you imagine getting a loan 14 to 18%, that's steep, y'all. That's very steep. And that's hard to tell somebody to go do a loan at that interest rate. So no, that was long, that was involved. Hey, I'm open to any questions or anything I can help clarify from kind of where we are based off of that resolution.
Are there any questions for Dr. Martin? All right, well,
I have a question.
Oh, yep, go ahead.
Thank you. So you talked a little bit about the CSS profile and how you guys were looking into it. Do you have like more like data or like the details on if that's something the university will pursue, just to like look a bit further and maybe involve some more faculty or staff on it?
Well, our admission staff is going to take a look at it. So we're going to have them take a look at it to see if it would be advantageous to even jump into that. One of the things that would require a change of would be a change of our awarding model, because one of the things that CSS does is it actually CSS asks for more information than FAFSA, right? And so typically what happens is, so students will fill out a FAFSA for our domestic students, and then our domestic students will then also go in and fill out the CSS along with our international students. And then based off of the information from what I've seen at most institutions, once the CSS is filled out, then they would assign aid. Well, that would shift like literally our funding model for the entire institution. And so that's why it's a broader, longer conversation that we're going to just kind of do some homework to see um, the communities around us that are using it, if it actually works to assign more aid. Like I said, in schools that we're comparing ourselves against, we're already above average in terms of what the aid that we give out as a community on the average. And so I think we want to make sure that engaging in CSS and that model would not be harmful from what we're already doing. The interesting Achilles heel for this, and most maybe most domestic students don't know this fact, but any international student that's coming to our campus community, they have to show a proof of finance in order to not only for undergrad, in order to get sent to I-20, they have to show proof of finance that they can afford to pay for their college tuition, right? And as our college tuition goes up, right, that does make the gap a lot harder that you have to demonstrate. So there's an ebb and flow. But as we do that, we're also trying to be mindful of our scholarshiping to keep that in line with that as much as possible. But unfortunately, we all know that the cost drivers that are at play are sometimes not as in line as we want them to be. So, sweetheart, we're going to take a look, and Marcy and Jess are going to take a look, but I don't know if applying that is actually going to make our situation better. And since this ran by College Board, it's not like College Board has a bucket of money that we can go and tap into. It would just be a different distribution of how we would use university funds. So it just gives us more detailed information as a way to apply those university funds. So it doesn't make, as far as I know so far, I could be wrong, but it doesn't make us available or our students available for any additional loans or additional buckets of money that are out there. So.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for Dr. Martin?
Hi, Dr. Martin. I appreciate a lot that you're coming today, and that you had taken the time to read the resolution and you're coming today to respond to it. I was just wondering if the school can maybe look into loans, because I am aware that we can't take any loans from the school, or I think they only allow for 500 for international students. So maybe in time of need, or in time of I don't know, that is necessary for students, that they can take a higher loan from the school, that it will be a lower rate of like paying than an outer bank. That, like, yeah, is that possible?
I can ask. I think one of the university is not a bank, so that's where we get into that difficult, and each institution, and this is just higher ed period, each institution feels differently about loans to students, right? We never want to be the one that has the bill collector coming and knocking on your door saying, hey, now you have a loan. Like loans need to get paid off, in this amount of time, this. We don't want to be the bill collector. And so typically what is, when institutions like ours even loan money, is typically in specific desperate like situations where folks just need to make ends meet, versus it being the norm. But I can look and ask some folks to look at our policies on that, and just take a gander and see if we can see what can be done, if any additional things can be done at all. I can't promise anything, because that is a very that's a very sensitive area, like to loan to your students in that way. I know there are populations. I got an email the other day about it was through Discover about a loan for international students, and they're like, "This is the loan. This is the new way." Da da this, da da that, and you start reading. You look at the fine print, and like it looks good. It sounds good, right? Like up to $30,000 a year. Da 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 da. It sounds good. You do the fine print, and you look down in there. It's like at 18.5% interest, and you're like, "What?" Like that's not like. I mean, it may not seem like it to y'all. 18% interest is highway robbery. Okay, to get that's $18 on every $100 that you that you borrow, right? Like that's not something that we want to just toss people into. Are those available? Yes, you can. Are those available, and folks can look those up on their own 100%. But I would feel horrible telling somebody we advertise and support 18% on a loan. That's rough. So I'll do some looking and get back with y'all on that.
Are there any other questions for Dr. Martin? All right, well, thank you, Dr. Martin, for coming to our meeting and addressing SR 002 from last semester. We really appreciate you coming.
Yeah, definitely. Please, thank y'all. If there's anything else I can do, just let me know. Y'all keep rocking out, and we'll catch y'all next time.
Thank you. All right. Going to go ahead and move on to the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Motion
Second.
by Senator Bakri and seconded by Senator Parizo. Thank you. All right, moving on to Senators' reports.
Hi, everyone. This is Allison. Just a reminder that April 7th, the day we come back from break, is when the Food Access Committee is holding their food drive. An all-school email will be sent out on, I believe, March 31st. So be on the lookout for that. Please, 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 and feel free to donate to this drive, and also encourage, as it will be an org competition, encourage the orgs are involved in to donate as well. It would be really, really, really great if we could get a lot of food to donate to Hilltop. If you have any questions, especially if you're a new senator, feel free to reach out to me. I would be happy to give you more information and report.
Thank you, Senator Parizo. Are there any other senator reports? Seeing none, moving on to advisors' reports.
I don't have anything to report unless Vice President Janoliak has something to share.
I don't have anything specific other than to say I shared with the e-board a little earlier that this has been an incredibly busy few weeks for the Senate, for the e-board, for all of you. So you're getting an awful lot done. You're hearing a lot from folks on campus, and you're passing a lot of legislation, and you're doing a really good job. So congratulations working through all of this, and some of it somewhat challenging, but you're doing a really good job doing it and getting through it. And again, budgets continue here for the next few weeks, so the work doesn't really let up for y'all. But I want to just congratulate you on doing really good work.
Thank you, Vice President Janowicz. Moving on to officer reports. President Steinheiser.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the new senators. We're so happy to have you guys on board. It's been a while since we've had a full Senate, so it's really nice to make sure that all of our constituencies are being represented again. If you guys ever need anything, my email is senate.president@valpo.edu. I'm always open to answer procedural questions, or if you guys have any questions about legislation that you want to propose, send it my way. I'd love to talk about it. The first thing that I have in my report is a link to the veto statement from last week when I vetoed Senate's denial of recognition for Young Americans for Freedom. If you guys want to learn more about that, you can click that link. We had a meeting last week to kind of discuss it, but for new senators, if you have any questions, just please reach out to me. I'd be happy to talk to you about it. We also need to vote on the Busalisa chair tonight. Is there a nominee for the Busalisa chair position?
I nominate Senator Flanagan.
Second for that?
Second.
Senator Flanagan, do you accept this nomination?
Yes, I accept.
Vice President Ford, do you want to hold a vote?
Yes, I will. I'm going to launch the poll, and just a reminder for new senators, you are able to participate in the vote except for Senator Schaus, who is a member of the executive board. You will not participate in voting. So if everyone could please vote on approving Senator Flanagan as the Busalisa chair. All right, we approve this 2403.
Awesome. Congratulations, Senator Flanagan. That's great. We'll try to get you the documents for all of that as soon as possible. Vice President Ford and I are looking into whether or not there is a Busalisa email, but hopefully that has the application and everything on it. So we'll get that over to you. The last thing that I wanted to cover in my report is something I brought up last week, but I think it's worthy of speaking to the full Senate about, is really just making sure that we're all here to represent our constituents and uphold our governing documents, and Student Senate's part of the university's shared government model. It's important that we keep our personal feelings and personal attacks out of debate. It's not a healthy democracy when people are afraid to ask questions. So when we are discussing legislation, it's very helpful if everybody just focuses on the job at hand, and focuses on the Senate and the will of the student body. This is something that we have a conversation about every year in Student Senate, and it's something that's always been a challenge, even since I've been a freshman senator. But if you guys keep that in mind, it's really good to just be able to dialogue across differences, and that's how we make some real change. Thanks, guys. End report.
Thank you, President Steinheiser. Moving on to my report, I just want to welcome all the new senators. If you haven't sent me your committee preferences and your student ID, please do so. Also, if new senators could send me your cell phone number so we can add you to our Senate group me, that would be really great. And I also just want to remind senators to, if you are able, please turn on your camera during our meetings. It just improves accountability, and we want our constituents to be able to recognize us. So if you could do that, that would be great. End report. Moving on to Secretary Missessany.
Yeah, I just wanted to give a brief overview for the new senators instead of sending like a bajillion emails. Super quick. So I'm one of my roles is to take attendance and do dress code. So attendance, you have 3 excused absences if you email me in advance, and those are if you're sick, if you have like an exam during class time or during Senate time, if you have like a required athletic or music or practicum event. Unexcused would be I have too much homework or I have another club meeting. Unfortunately, that doesn't count. Or if you don't email me in advance. If you're late, no worries, just let me know, like send me a message on GroupMe or an email or on Zoom because I might miss it during when I take attendance. You can email my personal email or my Senate email, doesn't matter. If you have too many absences, I'll have to send you to grievance committee, so just don't do that. And then dress code when we're in person, we do Senate casual, which is just no pajamas or sweatpants. Other than that, come as you are, but don't really worry about it for our Zoom meetings. And then as Vice President Force said, please keep your cameras on as much as possible. Let me know if something prevents you from keeping it on. No worries, just send me an email. End report.
Thank you, Secretary Missessany. Moving on to PRC Grumpy.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the new senators. A few of you I've met in person already to take pictures for the website and Instagram. Senator Magira and Senator Sheen, if you guys could please respond to my email to figure out a time when we can meet tomorrow so that I can take your picture. Other than that, I finalized the promotion schedule for elections, and my promotions for that will start over break. So, end report.
Thank you, PRC Grumpy. Moving on to Executive and Assistant Treasurers Lorenzen Doyle.
Just I want to say hello to the new senators. My name is Mark Lorenz. I'm the executive treasurer. Me and Owen Doyle are the treasurers here for Senate. We mostly kind of work behind the scenes. But if you have any questions about budgeting, feel free to send me an email. But other than that, I have no report.
Thank you, Treasurer Lorenz. Moving on to committee reports, Executive Committee President Steinheiser.
Yeah, I just wanted to explain the executive committee a little bit for the new senators. Executive committee meets at 4 p.m. on Mondays. All senators are welcome to come to these meetings, but you definitely don't have to. It pretty much just consists of the e-board and then all of the committee chairs, and an at-large senator rotates through and attends a meeting every week. If you were to write legislation, in order to present and pass that legislation through the full Senate, you have to present it to executive committee at some point in time within the process. So keep that in mind. If you are going to write a constitutional amendment, a bylaw proposal, or a Senate resolution, it does have to go through the executive committee, and you could just reach out to me if you want that put on the agenda. So yeah, if you guys want to come to those meetings, they're on Zoom. You can just email me for the link and I'll send it to you. Thanks, and report.
Thank you, President Steinheiser. Moving on to the Finance Committee, Senator Parizo.
Hello, all. We have a lot to do today. One of the first things I'd like to do is start out with 2 line item shifts. The first one is from the Institute of Electronic and Electrical Engineers. They want to move $1,700 from their conferences and sponsored retreats to their ongoing organizational functions. Due to COVID restrictions, they are unable to use their funds dedicated to conferences and sponsored retreats. They would like to reprioritize their funds into their projects to get much needed equipment.
Is there a motion to vote on this line item shift?
Motion to vote.
Motion to vote. Motion by Senator Chenoweth, and it was seconded by Senator Bakri. I will go ahead and relaunch the poll. So right now we are voting on the line item shift for the Institute of Electronic and Electrical Engineers. All right, this passes 2502.
All right, and then the second one we have is from Chi Epsilon Pi. They would like to move $1,500 from conferences and sponsored retreats into their induction regalia line underneath organizational sponsored events. They say normally they provide pins purchased from Engravables to recognize new members. Given a surplus in their budget this year, they would like to recognize new members with a piece of glass artwork from Engravables. And the conference was virtual this year due to COVID.
Is there a motion to vote on this line item shift?
Motion to vote.
Motion by Senator Raimondi. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Senator Bakri. I'm going to go ahead and relaunch poll. And right now we are voting on the line item shift for Chi Epsilon Pi. All right, this is approved 2601.
And then would you like me, Vice President Ford, to present Tier 1 first or to do Tier 2 voting first?
Why don't we vote on Tier 2 and then we can present Tier 1.
Try and share my screen. I do not see. Okay, hopefully this works. Trying to get the Tier 2 slate. That's Tier 1 slate, just kidding. Okay. I don't know if it'll show up all in one like slide or one screen, but can you guys see like the total left to allocate?
Yeah, we can see that at the bottom. Thank you. Are there any motions on the floor? Are there any motions to amend the budget?
Motion to vote on the slate as a whole. To approve the slate.
Motion by Senator McMillan. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Senator Jones. We will go ahead and vote on the Tier 2 budget as a slate. Okay, I just relaunched the poll. All right, the Tier 2 budgets passed 2601. Thank you, Finance Committee, for all of your work on the Tier 2 budgets.
And then, can you see the Tier 1 budget slate now?
Yeah.
Okay. This is a Tier 1 budget slate. For the new members, you can find the link to this in the General Assembly on like where I say present Tier 1 budgets. Just a quick overview. Please look these over. Feel free to make motions next week regarding moving money around if you would like to. We may also have some orgs present form of concerns about these budgets. Tier 1s can request an unlimited amount of money, and the amount we have to allocate is listed right here. I don't know if you can see my highlight. And this is the amount we have still in the pot, so that means it can be allocated to any of these organizations. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me before next week. I will also quickly bring up something I put in the General Assembly. SALT submitted their budget late due to conflicts or a mistake in when the deadlines were due. If a senator would like to motion, not obviously today, but the next time we meet, to add SALT to the slate, they may do so. I'm presenting that as an option. Feel free to check out the budget in the General Assembly minutes. Thank you, end report.
Thank you, Senator Parizo. Moving on to the Administration Committee, Senator Chenoweth.
All right, so the Administration Committee, not a whole lot going on this week. After break, especially, we're going to kind of be shifting our focus towards student organization bylaws, reviewing those, taking ideas for any changes, and maybe giving some suggestions to anybody who would like to hear our committee suggestions on any BPs that they're planning on drafting coming up. And we might have a couple remaining straggler new organizations that we're going to be meeting with after break and report.
Thank you, Senator Chenoweth. Moving on to Committee on Media, Senator Behrens.
Hi, so we have a couple of new media heads tonight to vote on. We have Garrett Willis for WVUR, and the Committee on Media voted 7-0-0. And we also have Jillian Seeger for the Beacon, and the Committee on Media voted 6-1-0. I would suggest voting on these as a slate.
Motion to vote as a slate.
Motion by Senator Vicari. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Senator Parizo. I'm going to go ahead and relaunch the poll so we can vote on the Committee on Media nominations as a slate. Just waiting on 2 more votes. It looks like we're having an issue with one of the senators. Okay. They just sent a chat to me. So this is approved 26-0-1.
Awesome. End report.
Thank you, Senator Behrens. Moving on to the Screening Committee, Senator Bakri.
Okay, all I have for you guys tonight is that I wanted to say congratulations again to all our new senators who are sworn in. You're all very qualified, and I can't wait to see what amazing things you'll do. End report.
Thank you, Senator Bakri. Moving on to Committee on Residents, Senator Burns.
Not much to report other than if you live around Lancashire, there were a bunch of flashing street lights, but there are work orders out to resolve that now, so it's not an issue anymore. And then we won't hold our next meeting till the week after we return from spring break to give people some time to readjust and report.
Thank you, Senator Burns. Moving on to Dining Services Committee, Senator Robinson.
Not much to report here either. Just be aware over break, Gellies and Grinders will be closed. Cafe will be 11 to 6. Founders 9 to 7. So those do change a little bit. Next dining meeting won't be until April 16th. So if you have anything before that, just shoot me an email. Happy to help. Other than that, have a great break.
Thank you, Senator Robinson. Moving on to Discretionary Funds Committee, Senator Huxma.
All right, I have one proposal to present to all of you tonight, so I'm going to quick share my screen to present that. Can everyone see that? Yes, okay, cool. So this is a proposal from the Office of Sustainability for a medicine garden on Valparaiso's campus. And it is specifically in the area right here next to the law school and in the back area of the sick house. So this space is not used right now and is still owned by the university. And this medicine garden would be free for students to come pick herbs like lavender, peppermint, things like that. It's really a natural space for students to gather. The Office of Sustainability thinks that the campus needs more spaces that are really naturally friendly for students to come gather. And this is a correction. It's $500 for plants and flowers, not $400. That was a mistake by the person who wrote this proposal. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Does anyone have any questions about it? Oh, I do have clarification. So this is just one small part of the community garden that is going to be there. There are also going to be plots of land available for students and other members of the Valparaiso University community to rent out plots of land to plant. However, this funding is specifically only for the medicine garden. And again, that is free to any student to come and pick plants if they want to. Does anyone have any questions?
Motion to vote.
Second.
One second. Yes, okay. Apologies. Is there a motion to vote?
Motion to vote.
Motion by Senator Priso. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Senator Vakari. I'm gonna go ahead and relaunch this poll. And we are voting on the DFC grant for the medicine garden. All right, this is approved 2502.
And then I have just one quick announcement before I end my report. There is one spot open on my committee for any new senator or any senator in general if they want to join. Just email me or email Jolie. I'm sure she can forward that to me if you want to be on my committee. End report.
Thank you, Senator Huxma. We are going to go ahead and move on to the discount card committee. Senator Jones.
No report.
Moving on to the elections committee, Senator Lurch.
Hey guys, so just to begin with, I put the dates in there as for the elections. Like Chris mentioned earlier, we'll be posting those on social media starting right when we come back from break. And once I get access to our email, I'll also be sending out a campus-wide email probably the day we come back from break to address the date. And then also after that, I would like to move to nominate President Steinheiser and Secretary Messesny and Senator Schneider to serve on my elections committee. I selected them because they're seniors and they're not going to have any bias for this election. So I think they'll be best positioned to serve on the committee.
I second that motion.
All right. I believe, do the senators nominated need to accept these nominations? Yes.
I accept.
Okay. All right. Thank you. We'll go ahead and vote on these nominations then. Go ahead and relaunch the poll. All right, this passes 2502. Senator Lurch, do you have the election dates you want to go over?
I mean, I'll read them all out loud. Yeah. So they're in the document, like I said, but right now I'm planning on having the organizational meeting April 13th at 8 p.m. via Zoom. Then following the meeting on the 13th, petitions open. And then all petitions will be due to the Student Senate office on April 20th by 10 p.m. The next day, formal campaigning will start April 21st at noon. And then formal campaigning will end April 28th at 5 p.m. And then elections will be held April 28th from 8 to 5 p.m. So, yep, if you have any questions about those dates, please let me know. And like I said, we'll be sending out an official email and more posts later.
Thank you, Senator Larsh. Moving on to new business. We're going to go ahead and go over BP 007. Senator Parizo, would you like to go over that?
Sure. Would you like me to share my screen with it or just talk about it? Okay. So last week, we passed BP 004 and BP 005 about the Student Senate stipends. And Vice President Four and I realized after we passed that bylaw proposal that we did not have a stipend for the Discretionary Funds Committee Chair. And this bylaw is basically trying to add in a stipend for them for $600. It's pretty short and sweet.
Thank you, Senator Parizo. So this was introduced tonight, and at our meeting, not next Monday since we'll be on spring break, but the Monday after, we will go ahead and discuss and vote on this bylaw proposal. All right, moving on to old business. Seeing none, moving on to forum of concerns.
There are none.
Seeing none, moving on to postmortem. I just wanted to go over, I think there's a little bit of confusion regarding what an abstention is in a vote. So senators can abstain from a vote when what they're voting on, they have a direct conflict of interest in. So this would occur perhaps if we were voting to approve an amendment to a budget to add more money to an organization that you're involved with. That would be an occasion where you would abstain from the vote because you have a conflict of interest. Other than that, there really shouldn't be any reason for you to abstain. So I think that pretty much covers abstentions unless President Seinheiser has anything to add. All right. And then just a reminder, make sure you guys are turning on your cameras. Thank you for being here tonight. Also a reminder, we do not have any meetings next Monday because of break. So enjoy your break. All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Senator Bakri. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Senator Raimondi. All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right, everyone have a great spring break.